Oh, and everything's messed up. There we go.
Hello. I'm
We
not
are
even
live.
gonna.
Whoa!
I'm not even gonna mute myself when I'm typing during this episode.
What?
We're just
Unbelievable. The audacity.
everything looks great. We're doing great.
Yes. And we've got
Yes,
things to talk about.
exactly.
Tefty isn't here. He's busy. I believe he is making music for the SideQuest theme, right?
He did
Oh.
say that he couldn't stream because he was making music, so
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
So make
Yeah.
sure you
Must
tweet at
be.
him. Can't wait to hear the new SideQuest theme song next week live on the show. I believe he and
Yes.
Memes are going to perform it live.
They might be, together live. It's very possible.
go.
Very excited for that.
It's gonna be awesome.
Watts, how was your Thanksgiving?
I was good. We don't do like a whole day thing, which I get kind of jealous of a little bit. Although
Mhm.
also I like sleeping, so maybe not so much. So we went to the in-laws at like 4:30 p.m.
Oh, really?
Stayed there for like 4 hours. Had dinner. Came
You're like
home.
in and out.
Pretty much, yeah. The only time we do like long stuff is on Christmas, and usually people will come to our house and we'll do the whole thing. But yeah, not so much for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. The thing about Thanksgiving is that it can be stressful if you spend all day at somebody's house. Like you get uncomfortable, or I get uncomfortable like being waited on. So I always want to like help out, but people understand my inadequacies in the kitchen, so they don't want me anywhere near it.
Oh dear.
You can why don't you go play with the kids? That'd be your job. Okay.
Well, when we went to Friendsgiving, Tomo was just sitting with the kids playing Pokemon on the Switch. So
Yeah.
Amazing.
yeah. So way to go. You're like, yeah, I'm totally bonding with the children. Yes, I'm looking after them. Yes, I am. That's what I'm doing.
Like, why are they not playing? No, they don't know how to play this game. I'm playing it for them.
We went down to Philadelphia. Actually, it's like outside of Philadelphia, like horse country outside of Philadelphia. It's an hour away from Philadelphia. And my father pretty much convinced me and my wife that we need to move down there. It's just filled with wide open fields, just beautiful open sky country in Pennsylvania, which I didn't even know they had country like that out in Pennsylvania. It was gorgeous. You got Quakers. It was the night after Thanksgiving. It was Friday night, which is date night for the Quakers, where they go out in their carriages and have dates in their carriages with the horse-drawn carriages.
wow.
It's very cool. It's very charming to like be like kind of watching that. It was a really cool place. It was a really fun Thanksgiving. I ate so much food though that I really felt like I was gonna pop this time.
Yeah, same. I was like, I'll look fancy. We'll get dressed up. And then I was like, this was a terrible idea. I couldn't move. I was like, we need to go home now. I need pajamas.
I had an apple crisp with the crisp part of the apple crisp was so sugary but delicious. It was like, it was like perfect. It was the perfect apple crisp.
What's an apple crisp?
Eric's is just like,
it's kind of like
Like-
apple pie, but on the top there's like this crispy, sugary, brown substance that I don't really know what it is, but it's delicious.
Okay.
And
is it crack?
it might be. It's brown crack.
Oh, dear.
Basically, we're freebasing crack all Thanksgiving, and it was wonderful. Spend time freebasing crack with your family. It's really just the Thanksgiving dream.
Nice.
How was your Thanksgiving,
great.
Eric's?
It was great. I loved it. Yeah. I played some games. I ate the same food I do every day. It was great. Thanks for beta testing Christmas for me. I can guarantee it's going to be good.
It was very. There's a couple of bugs we got to work out still.
Yeah. Like more food.
Naturally.
More food.
Yeah.
More crisp.
But we still got a month to launch, and
There we go,
we're
right?
feeling good about it. We're feeling strong. We got a lot of crunch time.
Hopefully it doesn't come out like Stadia. We should be all right. It'd be great.
Oh man, so
Stadia
I use
is getting
Stadia.
2 new games.
I heard that. That's actually
Yeah.
really cool news. Do you remember what they
Whoa.
are?
I know it was a Tomb Raider.
Is it
Okay,
Pop
A
and
Tomb Raider.
Snake?
Hold on. I know. No, okay. It's Tomb Raider and Farming Simulator 19.
I'm gonna play Farming Simulator 2019. I've never played one of those games, and I bet it's pretty zen and chill to play. I might check that out.
So I honestly I saw Farming Simulator and I was like, for Stadia, I might check that out.
Yeah, right. That might be the perfect platform to play that game. I did get a chance to play the Stadia in the hotel room, and it
Oh,
was a
Okay.
pretty good. It was a pretty okay experience. I was playing some Destiny at 480p. It didn't look great, but it ran. Like it worked, and I didn't have to bring a PlayStation with me or a computer. It's
right.
a much more portable thing. And there were some frame drops. It wasn't a perfect experience. The hotel Wi-Fi was not good. It was subpar, I would say, even for hotel Wi-Fi, but it did work.
Oh, wow.
Like I was able to log in, play a strike, and then I logged out to go do stuff with the family. I literally just brought it to test. However, I did notice that the puck, the what is it called? The Chromecast Ultra
Ultra.
got mega hot because I played a strike and then I immediately unplugged it from the TV, and I was like, damn, like I thought I was gonna burn my thumb. It was that hot. I was like,
Really?
It was
what is
working
going on with
overtime
this
on the
thing?
bad internet.
Yeah,
It was like,
maybe.
ooh.
I
Damn.
wonder if the bad internet had something to do with it. Maybe I had to like retransmit a lot of data, so it was working double. I don't know, or maybe it's just that's how hot it gets, and I just never noticed before because I never touched it like immediately after
Maybe.
using it. But that was concerning. Like, will
Yeah,
this
that's
thing
good.
overheat and like stop working? Does this thing have a limited
Maybe.
lifespan because of how hot it gets? Do I need to
That
like,
is very
attach like a
hot.
120 millimeter fan to it?
They're gonna start shipping new ones that has an inbuilt cooling system.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? The
So-
whole design of that thing is kind of weird. The way it's got the cord that
It
goes
is a
off
bit
to
weird.
the plug, and then the plug has the network adapter in it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to plug it in as well? I thought it was just USB like the normal Chromecasts.
Yeah, no, you plug it into the wall. It needs wall power, and then the Cat 5 jack or the internet jack, the hardwire jack, is on the plug itself. So you got to run that
Yeah.
to wherever it's plugged in, which is weird.
It is a bit strange. Yeah. When I was hooking it up, I was like, I feel like I'm getting the wires. The long wire is not the wire I need to be long. If anything, I would need like a longer HDMI cable, would maybe feel a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does kind of just hang there. Just kind of hangs.
Yeah, it's a little droopy. A little floppy.
It's a little floppy.
Oh, my.
Like, and putting it's not that much weight, but it's got the weight of the cord on it as well. So how much weight do you really want just resting on your HDMI cable?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing of how long will it last? Will the HDMI cable kind of break or come apart?
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
I don't know. Probably it'll last longer than I use the service, I'm guessing.
True.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So coming up
Yes.
on the 4th, we have Monster Hunter dropping their update.
Mhm.
I was wondering if Eric, could you give us a tip of what kind of damage should we be looking to take into the fight? What type of defenses?
Well, it's just so happens to be quite lucky that I've just uploaded a video called Stygian Zenoga Destroyer, which happens to be a build for. But yeah, so Stygian Zenoga. So there's a couple of things we don't know about going into this week. We obviously know that Stygian Zenoga is dropping, so they have a developer diary on the 4th. Stygian Zenoga drops on the 5th. And they have another developer diary on the 6th. We obviously know there's that mysterious black dragon as well. They haven't stated whether that dragon is coming. We know nothing about it. We don't know the name. We don't know anything of that. So we don't know if that's coming with the Stygian update or whether that's later. I imagine we'll find out during the developer diary. But at least for looking forward to Zenoga this week, assuming it works as it was in previous games, then it's massively weak to Thunder. So interestingly, you can then farm Zenoga and use Zenoga to farm Stygian Zenoga. So there, yeah, exactly. There you go, right? And then you can basically beat Zenoga with his electric cousin. So there you go.
Yes, yeah, that sounds great. I think I made the Zenoga bow, so I think I'm good to go.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then obviously the main thing you want to watch out for is blights, because Stygian Zenoga is dragon element, which means dragon blight. And if you get hit by dragon blight, then you lose all your elements. So you need to either just carry null berries or gem in blight resistance. So yeah, that happens to be in the destroyer set. So there you go.
There you go.
Plug there.
Yeah, go check out Eric's video to learn how to do things.
There you go. But So yeah, so developer, I reckon. So there's a few more things on the horizon. Obviously, we've also got the festival, because obviously there's always like the seasonal things every single year. Last year it was kind of Christmassy themed. This year it seems like they're going with a Chinese New Year theme kind of thing, which is really, really cool. I'm assuming that's all going to coincide together because it's the typical kind of window. So and given the way that Capcom Japan normally work in the past, like I think around middle of December they basically kind of they're done for the year. So I imagine the reason we're getting 2 developer diaries as well is probably because they want to get all the information out, and then they're like, "Yo, we're on holiday. Catch you later." So with that being said, I can see it being like I could see it being a position where it's like everything just drops this week. They're like, the festival's live, like Zenoga's live, maybe even this other Dragon is live. Have fun for Christmas. Crazy. That would be nuts. That would actually be crazy. So I'm hoping that, because that'd be really cool. I mean, because it'd be quite nice as well, because like, I mean, all this stuff is always free, right? But it's always nice when they add the new monster. But at the same time, there's a difficult thing, because obviously if you're the kind of players that consume the content all the time, then a monster drops, you farm it a couple times, you make the armor, or determine whether you want to make the armor, make the weapon you want, and then you're basically done. Yeah. So at least if they were like, whoa, there's an ogre, and there's a festival event, and there's a dragon, you'd be like, whoa, what do I do with all this stuff? So yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah, it'll kind of keep you playing. Because like you said, you just go in. You can do it on the day it launches, get what you need, and then you're like, okay, I guess I don't need to play for a bit. So it is nice when there's a bunch to do. Keeps you doing stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
I wonder what their numbers are for like active players in that game, because they put a lot into Iceborne, obviously, and that was an expansion for the game that must have gotten good upsale, because I mean, like I'm seeing a lot of people talking about the game still, and they seem to be adding a lot to the game. Are they going to do another year of content like they did for the original?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's exactly like how long their timeline is, but they basically said they'll be supporting it like they did World. So I imagine you'll get like a full year of content.
That's incredible. That's a pretty good value too.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice they do. I mean, it's nice they do it, because I mean they historically do that for most Monster Hunter games, even like the handheld ones. I mean, it was like, obviously it wasn't quite on the same scale, because the handheld ones were normally like event quests that would normally just repurpose the monsters. So this is the fact they're adding like new monster stuff. But I mean, yeah. So I can see them doing like a full year, and obviously I guess that would then take us to like the end of this console generation. And then obviously, you look towards because assuming that the new consoles come out next year, then I imagine you then look towards whatever they do next. Because I mean, there's always been 2 Monster Hunter teams. There's like the team there's like the mainline team that work on like the numbered titles, and there's the ones that work on like the quote unquote spin-off team. They've done things like Portable Third. They've done Generations. They're the ones that I'm thinking, obviously, like they are, for all intents and purposes, doing nothing right now, so they must be doing something. But then obviously also given that Monster Hunter is now Capcom's best-selling title, like you could be willing to bet that they're going to do something for next generation anyway. So I imagine they're probably going to be in that wind down position. So that'll be
a Monster Hunter on PS5 is going to be
it looks so good now. I can only imagine what it looks like for the next gen.
That'll be nuts.
Have we seen any footage running on next gen consoles yet?
I don't think publicly we have. No, they've done there have been demos internally, because obviously they showed off like some of the PS4 dev kits. But then even those ones, I don't think they were actually showing. They would a lot of the dev kit demos. They showed like PS4 games, but just to demonstrate the load times and stuff. So I mean, having said that, I wouldn't be surprised if like some of the stuff they sort of like showed at E3, like if whenever you're only going to get to see those sort of like CG trailer things, that's kind of them sort of saying, this is going to be like a next gen thing. So
what was that samurai game? It wasn't Sekiro, but it was that same year that they showed it, and it was
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
There were a lot of people thinking that might be a PS5 game, right? Because it was so good looking.
It was insanely. Yeah. I haven't heard. It was so weird. We haven't heard anything more about that game.
No.
That's gone super quiet. Yeah, I can definitely see that being. Yeah, that being PS5. And I mean, that's like because we did technically speaking see gameplay for that one, but it did look like super impressive, and it was a very particular like slice of gameplay.
Looking. Yeah. It was definitely a vertical slice.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. I wonder if that's going to be a PS5 launch game, because it's getting so late now that you'd expect to be hearing something about it if it's going to be a PS4 game.
Yeah, well, because when you think about it, the next time they're really going to have the next time they'll talk, like I know they have their state of play they can kind of drop like here and there, but you can kind of sort of the way the year's going now, you can start thinking like when they start speaking the new year, they're really going to start speaking towards like next gen. I'm assuming the consoles will be launching next year. If not, then they're gonna. Well, I mean, no, they are because they confirmed they're launching next year. So with that being said, like when they really start talking the new year, then yeah, it's going to be very weird. I mean, apart from like Last of Us, I don't think there's much more they're going to talk about in this current life cycle, right?
Yeah. I'm really excited for the new consoles next year. Like, I think more than
I
was for the PS4.
am.
More so than I was for the when I was playing Xbox 360 and PS3 games, I wasn't sitting there thinking, man, I really can't wait for a more powerful console. I was happy to hear there was one coming, but now with kind of 4K and kind of the graphical limitations of the current consoles, like I kind of thought they launched underpowered too for where technology was at. And it was nice to get the mid-cycle refresh with the Pro and with the One X. But I'm really excited for this gen for this next upcoming gen because, like, I'm hoping for 4K 60 FPS games on the console, and I'm
kind of like
that,
across the board.
Yeah, that's I'm hoping that's like the baseline. Like that's just where we're at. That's what's considered. I'm guessing there's still going to be 4K 30 FPS games. But I'd like shooters especially to be 60 FPS, and just like that's what the target we need to hit. That's what's.
I feel like there needs to be a standard now, right? Like and like at the absolute worst, if you can't hit 4K, like your shooter has to be 60 FPS. Like
I'd rather see it hit 60 than 4K, frankly.
Yeah, exactly right.
And like the next gen of TVs is now going, with variable refreshes and higher than 60 hertz, which is really interesting for the living room. We know the Xbox One X already supports variable refresh technology. That's going to be really interesting too. Like I'm really excited for the next gen.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I could definitely see me because right now it's like if a game's out on PC, I'm like, I'll just get it on PC. But with a new console, I'll probably be like, oh, well, maybe do I want to get it on the PlayStation?
Yeah,
it would actually be something I think about.
I like that couch gaming experience still.
Same.
I've actually been watching I don't have an Xbox One X, and I've been kind of watching the Black Friday deals, Cyber Monday deals. Like, do I want to pick one up? And like the lowest I've seen is about $300 with like a game in it. I'm like, I don't really want to spend $300 on an Xbox when I know there's a brand new one like right around the corner.
That's the thing,
like
right?
A year away, right?
Yeah.
Like so, but I do kind of want like I'm really impressed by games like Xbox's services right now. So having an Xbox in the living room, I think would just complement like kind of all the services that I'm currently using in a nice way.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I kind of sidetracked that from Monster Hunter World, but I'm looking forward to seeing a Monster Hunter on the next gen.
No, but I think like E3 especially. I mean, like E3 is always fun every year, but like every time there's an E3 and it's like new consoles, it's always like it's gonna be like that. That'll be one of the E3s to be at. Like it's they've always been some of the best ones. Like that I can't. I'm hoping like. I mean, I'm guessing they're gonna have to be unless they have like some grand plans to do their own thing. But I'm guessing that means Sony will return to E3 this year.
I would think so, right?
So, yeah. So
I mean, they'll want to have a big press conference at E3. I don't know. Maybe they don't. I mean, Nintendo's been really successful with how they're doing. Kind of, they're just like, hey, we're gonna talk about stuff when we're ready to talk about it.
Yeah. I really hope they do because like I booked my E3 tickets already. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna fucking. So they're like, I can tell what they'll do. They'll be like, we're actually gonna go a week before E3. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be
like
there.
EA Play stuff is always like the week kind of before.
Yeah. Which I like as like somebody who's just kind of is watching this stuff and like I like to talk about it. Is I like how it's spread out more than it used to be. Bungie made me real happy when they started talking about stuff a week before E3, and like it's just it's easier to kind of absorb everything when it's not happening all at once. But you want those E3 headlines for sure, right?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be good.
Do we want to talk about how EA spoiled one of the best games this year for their entire audience?
I didn't see the commercial.
Uh-oh.
And I haven't finished the game yet. So talk about it without. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
no, I'm
haven't
not
seen
gonna
anything.
no spoil. I'm not gonna complain about them spoiling it and then spoiling it. That would be strange.
Tell me exactly what the trailer said.
So during it was the Thanksgiving football games here in the US of A, there was a commercial for the new Star Wars game. And during that commercial, they showed one of the big reveals right at the end of the game and showed it to just everybody.
That's
So if there's
ridiculous.
someone watching and they're like, "Oh, new Star Wars game, sweet! I like Star Wars. I didn't know there was a game out," and then they see that.
Would you
Um,
know that it was a spoiler if you didn't know about the game at all, and this was your first experience watching, like knowing about the game was this advertisement? Would you know that
May-
that's a spoiler, or did you
maybe
have to
not.
know?
But oh no, maybe actually because of the timeline of where Fallen Order takes place.
Yeah.
If you knew that at all, yeah, yeah.
I can't
So
believe
I
they
was-
confirmed Jar Jar Binks is coming back.
Dude, I'm so hyped. Best Star Wars character of all time. Am I right?
The funny thing is, it's funny you say it, right? Because I'm not sure whether you're joking with me, but like I am one of the Jar Jar Binks supporters, right? I'm a genuine Jar Jar Binks supporter who nobody gives this guy the time of day, right? But let me tell you, Jar Jar Binks, Episode 1, and Darth Maul, it's the best Star Wars ever been.
Wow.
Yeah, Darth Maul is the best Sith. Jar Jar Binks is a fantastic character. People just don't know how to appreciate
Darth
him.
Maul was cool, and it was a shame that they killed him, in one movie, because he would have been an awesome kind
He
of
would have been
Darth
so
Vader
good.
type, and they never replaced him really in the second two prequels.
Because doesn't he in one of the animated series? Doesn't he come back with like spider legs or something like that? But
I never watched the animated.
Oh, okay. But Jar Jar Binks, right? Everybody hates on him, but I'm like, I think I'm the only person on the internet that supports him. But
I think you are.
He's just misunderstood. He's misunderstood. If people just gave him the time, they would love him.
What I never understood, I understood why he was in the first one, right? But then when they brought him back as a senator, who made this guy a senator?
I mean, I would. He could be my right hand man. I'll trust my life to that guy.
I don't know. Current political climate, maybe I need to look inward more than.
Maybe you need some Jar Jar Binks.
I mean, Jar Jar Binks would
prophetic.
be a great leader. Yeah.
Jar Jar was a prophet.
Exactly. Oh dear.
I have a small note about Death Stranding. Because people were asking Kojima about, a sequel or some kind of Death Stranding 2. And he said that the sequel wouldn't be a direct follow-up, but he does still want to work with Norman Reedus. So I don't know if that. I don't know. He's not done with Norman Reedus.
He needs us some Reedus.
He needs us some Reedus. So I don't know what he's gonna do with Norman Reedus. It could be Death Stranding stuff, or it could just be something totally different. It's just going to be only Norman Reedus in all video games. It's just going to be Norman Reedus.
It's going to be a Seaman game. Seaman 2 starring Norman Reedus.
Oh my gosh. He didn't even say that he wanted to do a film next. Maybe imagine
he
if
does want to do a film.
What if he took the Death Stranding stuff and then suddenly the next thing was Death Stranding was continued as a film or a Netflix series? That could be kind of cool. I mean, I haven't completed it, so I don't know whether it ends.
And he's also working on a horror game, right? Like he said, that's the next game he's going to do. Yeah. Is a horror game. Norman Reedus stars in PT.
I mean, that's a slippery slope because he said that when he comes to his medium stuff, he likes to get really really immersed in it. Apparently, he said before when he made PT, I can't remember what he said in the tweet, but there was a film that he rented that he couldn't finish because it was that horrific.
Yeah,
really?
And he's and I'm now going to try and find and then he's found a Thai horror film which is supposed to be equally horrifying. He's I'm gonna use this to get into the mood for the horror game. It's you're basically gonna go down a slippery slope. You're gonna go crazy, and then we're not gonna get any more games from you.
I saw him tweeting about that. He's like, I'm working on my horror game. I'm gonna be looking for some spooky movies. Found this spooky movie. Apparently, it's really scary. God.
Speaking of Death Stranding as well, I was trying to find it just now. I couldn't find it, but it came up on Twitter earlier. Apparently, there was a game that popped up on Steam, one of those rip-off games that was called Box Stranding, and it was basically just like a person with like a grey cube on his back, and you just walk across land.
That sounds great.
But
I might actually.
I can't find the picture.
Did you guys play PT when it was available?
I still have it on my PlayStation.
I do too. I have a
Yeah.
PlayStation that still has it available. It's one of the old PlayStations, so I don't actually have it hooked up anymore.
I may like be 6'3" and look like a Viking, but I do not do horror. I
don't like it either, Eric.
I'm like, nope, I'm gone.
I am incredibly susceptible to being scared by video games, and I cry for movies all the time. I cried like a little bitch watching Endgame, and I've seen it like 4 times already. Like,
it's good to hear.
No, Dr. Stark.
No, not like this.
My kids are looking at me like, oh, so ashamed of you.
See, they're gonna start crying more as they get older, because I did not used to cry at movies really at all, even when they were incredibly sad.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a study on the reason that we get more emotional with movies as we get older is because we can attach our real life experiences and emotions to them easier.
Oh, so
the more experiences you have, the more you can see yourself kind of in the same situation.
So kids have no empathy because they don't
There
have
you
enough life experience to.
Yes.
That makes sense. I'm good with that.
Yes.
Fucking monsters. What's going on in Korea? You guys were saying.
What's up with Korea?
Yeah, talk to me about Korea.
So they a couple of weeks ago they had their game show called G-Star, which is like their big, I guess their equivalent of like Gamescom or E3 to a degree. And a load of companies. That's basically where like all the bajillion MMOs come out of. And then one of the companies that was there, obviously there were lots of companies there, but one of the companies is Pearl Abyss. So Pearl Abyss, known for Black Desert, amongst other things, they are working on 4 different MMOs, or 3 in a bit. They announced, exactly. During their conference, they announced a BR kind of magic style game, which is, I forgot the name of that one, but that's the kind of like the least interesting one of the bunch. They then had a game called Dokev, which is kind of like a MMO for kids because it's got like this sort of Pokemon angle where you go out and you catch monsters in a sort of degree.
So you're saying Pokemon is for kids?
No. Not at all. Pokemon is for grown men, but this one is for kids. And then they had two of the main titles that are like the biggest one, the biggest headline. So they have Crimson Desert, which, although it's said to exist in the same universe as Black Desert, which is obviously their big MMO, it is not a sequel. It is not like linked in that way. It's kind of like a different thing. For anyone that's kind of like watching or listening to this that doesn't necessarily follow too tough, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Black Desert. Like Black Desert Online, obviously, is a big MMO. Yeah. It doesn't get the best reputation. It's kind of like a good and bad thing. It's got a reputation for having like one of the best combat systems, one of the best character creators, and just being visually stunning. But it's also heavily monetized in a very, very bad way. Like it's a ton of pay for convenience, ton of pay to win, ton of pay for like that kind of stuff. It's incredibly grindy. I know MMOs are grindy, but this is like incredibly grindy. And
it's a Korean MMO, which makes the grind go up by about 100%.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And that so there's that, and it's also very PvP focused. So that one for an MMO doesn't have a lot of like story-based content, dungeons, like raids, anything like that, or does it's much more PvP focused. So Crimson Desert's interesting because they're working a heavy like narrative through it. So they actually said at one point there's a way to supposedly play it like solo as well. So it might be like if you want that kind of Witcher style story experience, you can sort of play through this one. Supposedly you play as one of 5 different mercenaries. So I guess that will sort of fall within the kind of different kind of class categories, but it said that you sort of play as the mercenaries throughout the story. So they want to deliver like a cohesive narrative, but they said this will also have kind of the stuff you would expect from MMO. So you have things like dungeons and raids and quests. So it seems like for those that wanted the kind of the Black Desert experience, but more so PvE stuff, then maybe Crimson Desert will be where you go.
Interesting.
There is, of course, the concern again being Pearl Abyss, whether, of course, it's obviously going to have some monetization in. So, but I mean, at this stage, we don't necessarily know that too much. So that is that was kind of the really big one they're sort of pushing. That's their like big next gen MMO. but they've also got a game called Plan 8, which is a sci-fi, or they're calling it an exosuit shooter MMO, but it's basically like a sci-fi.
I saw that one. That one got a lot of traction in the West, I think. People saw that and were like,
I feel like that's almost like their one that, I mean, although they've done things in the West, I feel like that's almost the one they're kind of marketing more so to the West. So this one is from the limited trailer they've got, set in the future, like the kind of the picture it paints is that like we start off on, say, like the back foot, there's like these mechanical units, like these robots and stuff that they're being sort of chased down by, and then obviously you hunt them down, you scavenge from them, and then you use that to kind of create your own exosuit. So we see like in the trailer, you can see things like exosuits that you like run across walls, that you like grab things and punch through walls and destroy enemies, things that can like let you fly, things that can let you like stealth around on like octopus legs, or like take people out stealthily with like a electric wire. So apparently these are supposed to sort of introduce like loads and loads of really cool gameplay elements. So I would imagine in an MMO format, your exosuit would kind of be like your classes. It looks really interesting. It looks very, very, I mean, they showed some sort of like in-engine gameplay. Well, I say gameplay, they showed some in-engine shots. We didn't necessarily see exactly what the gameplay was, but they're also pushing that as like a next-gen MMO. So I feel like these are all a few years out, but they looked quite interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people I saw kind of tweeting about that one. Found it really interesting and looked really cool. So
they generally
I'm sure
localize these for Eastern audiences or for Western audiences?
Say again?
Do they generally localize these for Western audiences?
Yeah, I mean, so Black Desert came over eventually. I think the typical timeline, I mean, they often end up having it for like a year or a couple of years. It depends on how they go. Sometimes these things launch in like in the sort of like open beta state, right? Where like people are playing it for a while before it finally launches. So we have, from Pearl Abyss before, we obviously got Black Desert Online. So we have got it. So I think they kind of, I think the intention is there, but whether it would be a simultaneous release, although they did say as well, the interesting thing for Plan 8 is that it's going to be for consoles and PC. So
yeah, that's very interesting. I feel like that one has a good chance of coming out, if not at the same time as when they release in the East, but somewhat around it, because it really does seem like that is kind of aimed at exactly what people over here would like to play. So
it's kind of like Division meets Anthem meets sort of like Surge kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll be interested in that. Some more stuff from the old G-Star. Right? Sounds like a K-pop band, so I don't want to say G-Star. I'm like, am I just thinking of a K-pop band? NCSoft unveiled its mobile platform emulator called Purple. So currently right now, if you're playing a mobile game and you really want to play it on PC, there are emulators that you can get, like BlueStacks. But the problem with that is that some stuff maybe doesn't work, some features don't work, sometimes games just don't work with that emulator. So NCSoft was like, we're gonna make our own. It's called Purple because in between blue and red is purple. That's what they said.
Isn't that cute?
Fair enough.
So is this going to run Android games?
It's going to run any of NCSoft's mobile games. So it's going to be cross-platform stuff. You can load it up on your phone. You can load it up on the PC. And yeah, that's what they're aiming to do, because they said that they are making Lineage 2M as a cross-platform title to start with. But they wanted to make a emulator so that people could play older games or just pure mobile games that they release.
Is that emulator just going to work with NCSoft games?
Their one is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they made it specifically for their mobile games.
Because it'd be fun to get an emulator for mobile games on your PC with a mouse and keyboard. I could see where some fun could be had here. Maybe play a multiplayer shooter with a mouse and a keyboard when everybody else uses thumbs on their screen.
This sounds great.
We'll become famous streamers of the mobile game, but on PC, because we'll just be so good. Yeah, I like this. This is good. But the really cool thing, a cool thing they are doing with Purple is they're trying to build it to where it has like translations built into it. So if someone's typing and it's in Korean, it will translate it to English for you.
Whoa, that's cool.
Really cool. Yeah, I don't know how good it's going to be. It might just be Google Translate type level. But that's what they're planning to do. So they're adding tools like streaming support, key configuration. So when you do actually use the game on PC, you can change everything around. So they want it to be like a real kind of PC experience through their emulator. And then you can also, they'll have like chat system, of course, because that's how they're going to translate everything. Voice options as well. It's going to be built in for PC. And multiple accounts from mobile linked to the same desktop. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I was just gonna say some mobile games are getting crazy. Like there's a few mobile games that like older phones can't even run them because they're so graphically intense. So we're getting to the point where these mobile games are actually looking pretty appealing, but I wouldn't necessarily want to play it on my phone. So being able to play it on PC would be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had to look this up because I wasn't instantly familiar with NCSoft.
Yeah.
They made Aeon in 2008, Blade and Soul in 2012, Guild Wars 2, WildStar. I can't believe that came out in 2014.
They made.
Oh yeah.
I remember WildStar.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It was cool. I'm surprised I didn't feel like it was more recent than that for some reason. What's their most recent game? Master X Master? Is that them?
That doesn't ring a bell.
What would be their? I know they made Lineage, right?
Yep.
I don't know what their most recent one would be.
I mean, they're still Guild Wars 2 is still active, right?
Yeah, still going strong.
They just published that one though, right? Because ArenaNet made.
Okay.
Yeah, but Guild Wars. Yeah, that's how I first discovered them, because when I first played Guild Wars 1, like they were attached to it, and they were.
Same. Yeah. And speaking of Aeon and NCSoft, they're making Aeon 2.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Aeon 2 was officially announced. So it's going to be... So the big thing about Aeon, I should explain what Aeon is. So Aeon is an MMO. But the thing that was cool about Aeon is that you got to a point in the game where you got wings, and then you could fly, which was awesome. And you can like upgrade your wings. You could get different types of wings, and you could like do objectives in game to get really cool wings. You can show off like, look at me, I did this cool thing. And a really good selling point of Aeon was that it was a PvEVP kind of realm. So you'd go there and you can fight other players, and there would be castles that you could fight over. So there'd be like these massive wars over a territory in there, and you could grind in there for items and also just fight people. Plus you could go through portals to the enemy's world and kill all of the new people who just made a character.
This is a mobile game?
Good fun. So yeah, Aeon 2 is gonna be a mobile only game.
I'm looking at screenshots for Aeon, and I'm like, this is a mobile game? This looks amazing.
It's not currently.
Oh, okay.
Aeon 1 is on PC, but Aeon 2 is gonna be a mobile game. But with the purple emulator thing, you could probably just play on PC.
So this is what they're gonna do. They're basically gonna like justify making like subpar quality graphics games. They can push it on a mobile and be like, "Hey, it's on a PC too."
Yeah.
I mean, not to say the console. That I mean, mobiles can have decent graphics, but they could basically be like, instead of us having to make like a next gen looking game, we'll just peddle it. Which, to be fair, all jokes aside, in the kind of market where they're obviously going to release first, makes massive sense. Like mobile games over there, like huge anyway. And if you think about your typical consumer, it actually does make sense. For like an MMO, when you think about it, like you sit at your desk all day long and you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna play Aeon. You're like, oh no, I've got to go to school. And they were like, well, I'm gonna carry on playing Aeon on my phone. Like literally, it's they. I mean, they basically in their situation, they're like, we don't even need handheld consoles. We don't need like a Switch. We just literally need they're almost turning your phone into a Switch, right? Because when you get home, you basically dock it on the big screen. So it's like Switch for Korean MMO nerds.
That's the play. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
that is the play.
That's not a bad idea. So yeah, I played Aeon for quite a while. I really enjoyed it because PvP was quite an integral part of that MMO, which I really enjoyed, and it was all kind of meshed together. But with Aeon 2, there's not going to be opposing factions anymore. So it's not going to be Elios versus Asmodean, whereas what it was before, it was faction-based PvP. Players are instead free to choose to invade others regardless of race. You can just go kill everybody now.
Really? No alliance.
Equality. Nice.
And they're also removing traditional classes. So they're going to allow people to wield multiple different types of weapons. So you don't have to just use one specific thing. And also they're removing gliding constraints. So in Aeon 1, there were places where you could go because you're like, oh, flying MMO, freaking sweet, sounds great. But there were places where you couldn't fly. So they're removing all of those limitations now. So you will be able to fly everywhere. And they have a big focus on PvP. So sounds interesting.
I like the art of this game. It looks cool.
It is beautiful. It is it's a really beautiful game. I remember I stopped playing, and even then I was keeping up with like new wings that they were introducing and new armor, and because it is a really beautiful game.
Don't you hate that when you stop playing a game? Like, it's a conscious decision. Okay, I'm going to stop playing this. And then you see something like news. I saw this with Anthem the other day where some really cool suits came out. And I was like, oh, I'll probably never play this again, but I want to log in and just get those suits.
I did the same thing. Yeah, it's true.
I did the same thing with...
Got me into like Final Fantasy 14. Like I'm not really like a huge Final Fantasy follower. I mean, I played 14 when it first came out and then like left it. But then when following that, like I had friends that like used to post screenshots all the time, and every time I saw specifically art like MMOs, like anytime I see someone posting like I don't know a cool armor set in like the world in like an MMO, I'm just like, I want to be there. I want to play that. And then you go in, you're like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. The grind aspect of MMOs really is a turn off for me. Like I don't want to go kill 60 rats. I just don't want to. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, when I was growing up, as a kid, it was fine because I could dedicate all my spare time that I had to just playing MMOs. Yeah. But now there's not a whole lot of spare time kind of floating around. So it makes it very difficult.
If I want to have Netflix up while I'm playing your video game, then I probably shouldn't be playing your video game. Like, probably not. If it's not drawing enough of my attention to not have a Netflix show going, then we probably gotta cut it from the rotation.
Understandable.
True. That's the thing. Like, I do like. I think every time I think about MMOs, I think about like some of my fondest gaming memories are from them. I do remember, like, enjoy those times, but it's true. Like, it's difficult. Like, I always keep saying, oh, I really want there to be like a new MMO. Like, for example, if they release like Lost Ark, like I don't even care how busy I am. I'm gonna make time if they release Lost Ark. But at the same time, I wish for all of these ones, and I realize that like when they come out, I panic when like a new game comes out. They're like, hey, this campaign's 80 hours. I'm like, I don't have 80 hours. Like, let alone when it's like, oh, this MMO is gonna take 8,000 hours. I'm like, okay, but
yeah,
I still love them. Like, it's just something about like, even if you can't play at the top end, something about just kind of being in those worlds, those like huge worlds where there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Guild Wars was the thing that I just spent so much time in. I loved it so much. And yeah, same thing. A lot of the really peak gaming moments that I remember from Guild Wars.
Yeah, that was great. That was fair. That was a great game. I love that.
I talk about it all the time. When I'm talking about systems, I'm like, well, Guild Wars did this thing. They did it really well. So we can just learn from Guild Wars, because I really do think that game got so many things right.
Definitely. Yeah. I enjoyed that a lot.
Did you play Guild Wars 2 at all?
I did. I played for a little bit. I didn't find... So my thing with Guild Wars is that I mostly played for PvP. And Guild Wars 2, I didn't enjoy the PvP as much as Guild Wars 1. So then I kind of stepped away.
I think one of the things I missed from like 1 to 2, because one had this really interesting system where like you would specifically play or like select 2 classes to play as, and that would create really interesting build synergies.
Yeah.
And then Guild Wars 2 was more so just like select your... I mean, there was plenty of options. Like, Guild Wars 2 had a system where like you change weapons, it gives you completely different skills, which was cool. But the whole idea that was like, in Guild Wars 1, I had like a necromancer elementalist and like a warrior elementalist. Like, so suddenly you're like a warrior combining like, fiery magic, or a warrior who can suddenly bring like undead out the ground, and mixing those things made for some really, really cool like replay value. Whereas Guild Wars 2, like anytime it's like you level 1 class, and even though there's different ways to play this class, there's still kind of one-dimensional. I feel like that was one of the really magical things they took away from it. Like the art style for Guild Wars 2 was fantastic, like all that kind of bigger stuff. But I feel like it's almost like Guild Wars 1. I feel like Guild Wars 1 to a degree was almost like early days MMO light, because it was still an MMO, but there were elements of it where it wasn't as full on as something like World of Warcraft, right? And you could and like when you play through the campaign, there was like cinematics for everything. Whereas in Guild Wars 2, it was more like conventional MMO, where there were like a few cinematics, but suddenly I felt like some of the magic was a little bit lost. So
I totally understand that. It's that I almost Guild Wars 1 was kind of ahead of its time with a lot of the systems that it used. And then they were like, oh, what can we do that's different? And then they end up kind of just, in my opinion, took a bit of a step back with the kind of creative, unique things that they did in that MMO world. They kind of, it felt just like a normal MMO.
Has anybody done a sequel for an MMO that was as good or better than the original? Because I feel like there's a bunch of places where, like, EverQuest 2 was never as popular as EverQuest. Guild Wars 2, I don't believe, was as popular as Guild Wars 1. Like, has there ever been a sequel that's really knocked it out of the park?
Like, no, because I feel like MMOs are so hard to do sequels for. It's like everyone's always like, oh, yo, I wish Blizzard would do like World of Warcraft 2, but right, they probably don't ever want to, because the thing is, like, when you build, it's one thing, like if you have like an MMO like Destiny, you can be like, all right, buy the next installment, and you're like, well, I've got to move forward, right? But like in these MMOs, when they're so massive and you have that huge player base, like you could release like World of Warcraft 2, and like most of the player base could be like, I still want to continue playing like WoW, and they're just never going to move across, right? So it must be so hard to because those games never end, right? At least if you play a game,
you got thousands of hours in there too.
Yeah, like at least if you played a game where it was like, oh, like in Destiny, you're like, all right, Destiny 3 is going to come out, and you were like, well, we're going to release the final expansion, which is going to say, I don't know, this next rando alien guy is going to die, and then like to continue it, you need to go to like Destiny 3, right?
Such a perfect breakdown of a Destiny story.
You can tell I haven't played Destiny for a little while, right? I couldn't even pick up an alien thing. But then after that, then you're like, oh well, I've got to continue the story. But like in WoW, you couldn't be like, oh, here's the end, unless you pull a Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn, where you're like, the world is going to blow up, and then like, okay, servers are gone. But then you'd have like nerd outrage. So yeah, it must be so hard to follow up from like and I can't think, to your question, I can't think of an example where like a sequel has come out and has been better.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were hoping that Titan was going to be like the successor to World of Warcraft, but obviously that became something completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of a single one, unless it's something like from the Koreans that I don't know about.
I think normally for that one, it's like if they do it, they tend to just like, instead of it being a sequel, they just like do something completely new, right? Because then at least if it's a new world, you have the foundations for like a new audience, and then it's on one hand, like from conventional gaming, you think it's easier to sell a sequel, but then I guess from an MMO world, it's probably easier to sell a completely new world.
True.
The question I always ask when I see a sequel and I haven't played the original is, should I play the original first? And with an MMO, that's a daunting process.
Like, invest 6,000 hours, then come play our game. Okay, I'll be back in a few years.
Yeah, it's a good point with MMOs, because obviously if you look at something like World of Warcraft, and a lot of people have this experience where they're like, I kind of like to get into it, but at this point it's been out for so long, it feels like I almost can't.
Yeah.
So it does make sense to put that 2 on it. It's kind of a fresh start. So people are like, oh, okay, I was interested in jumping in, and now I can because this new game's coming out. So yeah, I do understand that.
Yeah, that's a tough question though. I mean,
it is tough.
What game? I swear there was a game that just recently they said, oh, Overwatch 2. Speaking of, Overwatch 2 is going to be basically just an add-on for Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of solves that problem.
True.
Just call your DLC number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why Blizzard just keep churning out like WoW expansions, right? They're like they're like, as much as people would probably love like a WoW and like a completely fancy new graphics, they're like, people are still there. We can just churn out an expansion.
Yeah, and they've been
And
upgrading
then, like,
the graphics as they go too, haven't they?
True. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it still ultimately looks a bit like a PS3 game, but it's still, it's still. I mean, like, it's obviously got. I don't feel like you play necessarily MMOs for like the astounding graphics. You play it for like the world and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got to talk about? Are we done?
I think the only other like final thing to round out, I guess, is the Borderlands DLC is dropping on the first story DLC is dropping on the 19th of December.
We almost didn't talk about that for 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks, and it's like, whoa, we're trying to ignore this.
Almost forgot again.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously there was the Mellowman Takedown, which is kind of like, I mean, it's a permanent addition to the game, but it is. I mean, it's been out for a little bit now, so it's obviously like it's quieting down a little bit. Mayhem 4 is definitely quite. I mean, well, if you are new to Borderlands, the Mayhem 4 might come across quite challenging. I've seen some people kind of throwing around like the bullet spongy term. Mayhem 4 is definitely one of those ones where, like, if you don't have a build for it, it is definitely like the kind of going in Division days and trying to shoot things. But then from people that have played Borderlands before, then they'll be like, well, this is much more akin to like UVHM, that level of difficulty and stuff. So like, or like Ultimate, I forget what it's called again, UVHM. Ultimate Vault Hunter, or one of those, wherever it is, right? The name escapes me. Point is, Mayhem 4 is of course like the new tier of difficulty. You don't have to dive into it, but there are some exclusive items in there. So Mayhem 4 has its own loot pool, as does the Takedown. So there's new items to earn. There's new guns. There's new shields. Some of the items are genuinely very good. Some of them are like best in slot items. So there's some cool new stuff that came with it. But this in itself wasn't a huge update. I mean, like the Mellowman Takedown is basically like a standalone. They reference it like their raids, but they're not like, they're not raid. So you're not going to go through solving puzzles and stuff. It's basically just like a bigger dungeon with a big boss at the end. And there's a few bosses throughout the encounter, but it's cool. It's a permanent addition. There will be more of these throughout the lifecycle of the game. So obviously there are things to look forward to. But in terms of actual like longevity, shortly after that kind of initial week, you've kind of done what you need to do. But the DLC on the 19th is, of course, the first story DLC. So, I don't know quite how much you're going to expand it, because obviously in the past, like, look at like Borderlands 2 DLCs, none of them were like massive per se. But I mean, I'd be willing to bet you can probably get like 5 to 10 hours out of like a new story or something. And then obviously with that, there'll be new guns. The new story DLC introduced a new area. It's kind of set in Handsome Jack's casino, like off-world casino. It's funny. It's funny how they keep bringing back Handsome Jack even though he's dead. I think they realized that like he is the best bad guy they have ever had
by a long shot, right?
Yeah,
like one of the best like video game bad guys.
Yeah, exactly right. He's a great character, and it must be really hard to top him, because obviously in Borderlands 3, like Tyrene and Troy were like nowhere close. Like they were just they were forgettable, and they're also dead. So I mean, fair enough. But I'll spoil this. Sorry. If you haven't completed it, I'm sorry. We killed him. But then they're like, well, Handsome Jack's dead. What can we do? We're like, I know. We'll still say that he's got a casino out there where there's a hologram of him, so we can put him in the trailer, and people get hyped because they see Handsome Jack again. But to be fair, it looks fun. It's a cool new location. It's in this like very like glitzy, glary, like Vegas-looking casino, which is a new location. There'll be like new enemies and stuff, so that's something to look forward to. And that kind of drops very, very close to Christmas, which is great if you want to be on Christmas holiday. A little bit less great if you want to create content, but hey, we're gonna go with it anyway. So yeah,
I don't know. I'm okay with this. I really liked Handsome Jack in the second game.
Yeah,
and I liked the second game a lot more than I liked the third game because of the story. Like, it was just, to me, it was more engaging and more fun. It might have been. I was also, a younger man. Maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe it just like maybe it hit harder for me, hit better for me because I was younger. I don't know. But the story and the characters of Borderlands 3 did not hit for me at all, even though the gameplay was far superior in every way.
Yeah, the gameplay, moment-to-moment gameplay is better. Borderlands 3 didn't really click with me just in general. I was just like, oh, I'm just lobbing grenades, is just explosions, and now things are dead, and now I'm kind of bored. So I just did the story and then I farmed a little bit, but then I was like, what am I farming for? Like, what's the reason?
Yeah.
And
No,
then
that's fair.
when I ask that question, I kind of fall off.
Yeah,
from stuff.
no, that's fair enough. Yeah, I definitely got like a fair bit. I mean, I'm still really enjoying like playing Borderlands 3, but I definitely enjoy it from like a different point of view. Like, I think the moment to moment gameplay is what keeps me playing. Like, I wasn't as engaged with the story this time around. I think kind of like, you know, when we sort of did like I reviewed like when we all spoke about it back when it first came out. Like, definitely the story like elements kind of went over my head. Well, not over my head, isn't like they just kind of didn't. I don't know. I didn't get the same feedback. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. They didn't really sort of like land with me. So that one wasn't. But then I never really played like Borderlands for that anyway. When I think about it, like realistically, this is just one of those games where it's one of I see Borderlands almost like the arcade version of like looter shooters, right? I know they're like the COG looter shooter, but it's like playing an arcade game, right? I feel like you put a coin in, you just go in and you run through and just do some like crazy wacky stuff. And then like you just kind of keep going, and that's what I like. I mean, the fact that I've got some insane builds now, where like, you know, you run super fast and just do crazy damage, and you basically can't die, or like I can just go in and just like blitz things in like a matter of seconds. Like that's that level of power that you just can't get in any other game, because other games are so intent on balancing things down to the ground, to the point where you can't possibly feel powerful. So Borderlands, even though they have nerfed things recently, does still do a good job of kind of letting you live out that power fantasy. So that I do like. So yeah, and I mean, new stuff for that will be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And the very last thing to round out this the side quest for you. There's one very last news thing, super quick, because I just saw someone mention Lost Ark, and it's my favorite topic, you know. But there were actually some job listings specifically for English job roles for Lost Ark, and one of them was even also like a console job listing as well.
Oh.
So I mean,
oh my.
I'm just gonna say, I mean, I feel like it's gonna happen. I stand by it, right? That Phil, good old Phil at Xbox, right? He's secured the deal with Smilegate, right? And they're first having to release the game that nobody really cares about, so that they can kind of secure the deal. And I feel like once they've released the game that nobody cares about, then they'll be like, okay, now can we have Lost Ark, please? I feel like that's his secret plan. So we have to get Crossfire out the way first, and then Lost Ark.
I hope so.
Like,
there's a lot of people that are actually excited for Lost. Like, I hear people talking about Lost Ark a lot. There's people who are excited for that game. So I especially hearing that they're hiring English positions is very exciting.
Yeah.
Because why else would they be?
Is that what we need to do is when on Xbox they release Crossfire, which is Smilegate's game, even if you look at Crossfire and it looks like a rubbish game, buy it so that Smilegate get their return, and they're like, well, this Western venture must be a great idea, right? I'll buy 5 copies of Crossfire just to do the deal, right? If everybody does this, let's make a pact, right? And then we'll get Lost Ark.
Would it be on Game Pass?
Because
if it's on Game Pass, you could just download it, and they'll see that it was downloaded.
This is true. That'll cost you even less. That'll cost you $1. Look at that.
Game Pass is my new favorite thing. I love that service. I love, like, I'll be bored and I'll sit down in my computer like, I don't feel like playing any of the normal stuff, and I'll just start browsing through Game Pass and download something and be playing it in 20 minutes after I've downloaded it. They need to get a streaming service working for Game Pass, so you can just start playing it right off the bat. You don't have to download it and install it or anything.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I love having access to Game Pass. It's really nice.
It's so good. I'm really surprised how well they did it. The pricing structure when they came out with it was really good. All of the selections that you can choose from is really good. Yeah,
there's so many games on there. The games that
many games
I've never even heard of, and I'll like go look at the reviews. I'm like, oh, this got like 8s across the board. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed with it. This is the game. Okay, so I had to look up Lost Ark while you were talking about it, because I remember you talking about it, but I forgot what it was. And it looks like Diablo, but it's an MMO.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got so many cool components. It's like that combat of Diablo. It's got MMO elements. So you're in this big open world. We can see other players. It's got like world bosses where like, you know, you have these huge bosses that with like monumental health bars, and there'll be like 30 odd people just fighting on the same screen at the same time.
No, it's the thing that Diablo 4 said they're gonna do. But
I know,
Lost
right?
Ark's already doing it. Man, yeah.
Exactly. Look at that. Look at that. And they've got mounts, which Diablo have now introduced. They've also got when you go to like dungeons, they have like this is one of the coolest things, especially from this camera angle that I experienced. They have cinematic dungeons, so there'll actually be parts where like you'll have like cutscenes and sweeping cameras and changing camera angles, like in this isometric sort of place. Or you'll be like, there's one part where like you're working up and like the whole thing is falling down around. It's kind of like the sort of thing you'd experience as like a sort of set piece in like an Uncharted game, but yet you're playing it through live in a dungeon.
Oh, I like that.
Which is really cool. You have elements then when you get to the end of the game where there are like monster hunter missions called like Guardian missions, where you go in and you've just got to hunt down one monster. So it basically is a monster hunter mission,
That's really cool.
which is really cool. They have raids. They have like I think there's like player housing. You have your own ships. It's literally, I always describe Lost Ark as like the best hits video game. It's taken everything you like about games, shoved it into this package, and it's like, here, have it. And it's
currently out in Korea.
So it's out in Korea. I think it's still in that kind of like open release beta window, but it's basically out in Korea. And there's now the beta in Russia. So it's gradually kind of getting out there. I think they were speaking about releasing in China and Japan as well. So this kind of they're releasing in more territories. Technically speaking, at least if it's in Russia, you can just play through VPN, and there is actually an English patch, so it's technically possible to play in English. But I'm still kind of hoping for the Western versions. I'm kind of holding out because obviously I've played through it a couple of times already in the Korean beta, so I don't necessarily want to play through it again in Russian and then play through it again in English. I mean, it's a great game, but still, yeah. And there's a ton of classes. There's a ton of classes as well, so
it's really pretty.
It's amazing. Like, if you get a chance afterwards, like the best video for that is if you search like the all classes video. There's like, well, actually, I mean, I wasn't actually trying to plug my own video. I did actually do one recently, but there is a video online that's basically just like stitched together all of their trailers. And it's just the class showcases, and you can see how over the top some of the class moves are.
Love it.
So yeah, check that out.
So yeah, I'm clicking on images. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. And then cutscene anime. I'm like, oh. Awesome anime.
I mean, it's not too anime. Like it's still got the realistic look. It's like anime over the top, but I feel like it's not too anime. So you'll be all right.
It's not too anime.
It's not too anime. It's the right amount.
We might just title the podcast "Not Too Anime."
There you go. Right?
That's the title right there.
There you go.
It is really stunning looking now.
Oh, it's incredible. It genuinely is like, and the fact that I've only played the beta, to this day, one of the best games I've ever played. And I've literally just played like the beta, and I got up to about level 50, and then I didn't even get to experience all the end game stuff. So like if it comes out, I'm switching up. We're gonna be on Lost Ark channel, just that. That's it. Okay. Nothing but Lost Ark. Forget all the other games. Yeah.
All
right. Should we wrap this one up?
I think so. That's the show.
All right.
SideQuest
good show.
Complete.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Eric, where can they find you?
They can find me on the internet, Twitter at Arix, YouTube ArixG or Scuf Gaming. Apparently that URL works as well, so that's great. What is this week? This week's Monster Hunter. So if you want your hunting fill, then it will basically be all Monster Hunter almost a week. So yeah.
What?
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me sitting in traffic, driving home for the holidays.
But you're already home.
It's an illusion. It's a dream.
Is that a green screen? Did you green screen your home office?
Screen my home. I'm on I-95 in New York right now.
Oh, dear.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.